Okay, so I will go to what we will be covering today. So today we will go through the cloud computing part of it, the evolution of SAP technology, clean core, some basics of BTP, the architecture, the pillar silos, how do we set up our BTP account, and the business application studio. So just before that, Prashant, can I know what is your background? Like, are you a ABAPer or are you from Java or particularly new to it?
Yeah, actually, Tarun, I'm a ABAPer with having 8+ years of experience. I have worked in different
Okay,
organizations like Accenture, Capgemini, TCS.
okay, same here. Worked with Accenture for 8 years and then moved to Canada with an Accenture itself.
Okay.
Yeah, and Chandini, am I audible? I don't hear you.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
make it a bit interactive. Hey, hi.
Sure. Hi. Yeah,
Okay,
previously my mic is not on. That is why I pinged in chat. Now I am able to speak. Yeah.
okay, fine. Okay, we will go through this. Let's see how this goes. So this would be a bit more on the first session that we had. As I told, we will cover a bit more on the SAP side. Think both of you do know bit more of the SAP history, but then I'll revisit that, and we'll explore a bit more onto the BTP side. Okay, so what is the traditional infrastructure that we have for the on-premise systems? So for the ECC and S4 HANA on-premise, the company usually manages all the components of uh, the system. Say when the data center is set up to all the hardware, the runtime environments, the middleware, the OS, and the applications. It's just that the company would be subscribing or taking a license of the SAP software, and then on top of it, they will do their own customization, whatever is required. Now, the challenge that we have from this is uh, it is a bit more slow to go for innovations. Like, uh, like if there is an ECC system, you can't get updated on the newer BTP technologies over there. There is a lot of idle time, like say during the daytime, most of the CPUs that's there in the system would be consumed. During the nighttime, it would be a low load system. So there is cost that we are incurring that is not being used. So there is a lot of idle resource that's cost that's lost. And the initial setup for the data center itself is expensive. Maintaining it is a cost. Upgrading it is a cost. And when we have lots of customization that most of the businesses, they want to be on the new end of all of it, all the business processes. So they do all the customizations, and you might have experienced systems having lots of complexities in it when you go for upgrades or a greenfield project, things like that. So this would be the basic system. Or what is the solution to it? The solution would be to share the resources that we have and broadcast it through internet and the consumers consuming it. So we have the database, the operating system, the environment, the software, all of it in a shared model, and the consumers can get a subscription to it and access it. So that would be the solution to it. So it cuts down the cost, the inefficiencies of having resources that's not utilized. It's the same thing that we saw earlier. Cloud computing is the providers giving services to consumers over the internet. It's the same thing that we discussed in the earlier slide. What it does is it lowers the cost. It makes the system available. Yeah. So that's one thing. When we have the hyperscalers like AWS and Azure, they promise on giving system uptime like 99.99%. So there is basically no downtime. And also when we go into cloud computing, for upgrades and any deployments, there won't be any downtime. The downtime for the system resource availability, that won't be there. And it's a more scalable solution. The deployment models. So we have 3 deployment models: the public, private, and hybrid. So the public would be having the resources shared among a cluster of customers, and they all would be having access to the system, just that the data would be segregated. The data would have its own integrity, and only the corresponding customer can access their data. When we go to private, it's a single customer who owns or subscribes to the entire infrastructure, and the same company would be having access to the data. There is no other party that comes and gets involved in this. Hybrid is a mix of both private and public solutions. It's usually when there is a custom request from the company asking the provider to have a mix of their solution, the cloud solution, and their own premise solution. Going into the service models, so we saw the traditional on-premise system. It's entirely managed by the consumer or the company in our context. We also saw the challenges to it. Now, it's a sharing of the resources is the solution to it. So there are three kinds of sharing of services that's provided by the service providers. One is the infrastructure as a service. Second is the platform as a service. Third is the software as a service. Now it's varied responsibility that the provider would be handling. In infrastructure as a service, the provider would be handling everything from the network to the virtualization. So it's basically you get a virtual machine and the consumer would be subscribing to the virtual machine. Everything beyond this is owned and operated by the consumer. And the major providers for this service are AWS, GCP, and Azure. The next one is the platform as a service. For platform as a service, again, it's the virtual machine on top of which we have the OS, the middleware, and the runtimes. Sometimes it's the runtime, sometimes it's not. It depends on scenario to scenario. So the service provider would be handling all of this, and the consumer would be basically holding onto the data and the applications. So we can subscribe to the entire lot of the virtual machine and the runtime, all of this. They can also subscribe to other solutions that's outside this box. And for the software as a service, it's the consumer just going for the subscription of the application. They won't have the knowledge of what happens behind the application because that's entirely managed by the provider. Another thing to note is the level of customizations that a consumer can do in all the situations. So as we know in a traditional on-premise, there's a lot of customization. You can do customization from the database level up to your application. The level of customization depends on the kind of licensing that you get for the software. Again, over here on infrastructure as a service, it's again limited to anything beyond the virtual machine. And for platform as a service, you can do all the alterations you want on the application, but for software as a service, you can't do that. It's like you can do minor configurations and things like that. Okay, going on to the evolution of SAP technology. So in the 1973, we had the R1 system, excuse me, R1 system introduced by SAP. This was a single system machine, a single system that contained the presentation, application, and database layers. So it catered to a very small business data set. They were only focusing on the financial accounting side of it. So it was a smaller solution, but then it was the first of its kind. It also let all the financial companies do their own customization to the process. Now, doing customization to a single box solution meant you need to test each and every aspect of this box. Everything from presentation, application, database, you need to test all of it before you deploy any changes at all. But since it was a smaller data set, the initial stages, it was much easier. And the business processes were also not that complex. In 81, we had the R2 system. So it's basically segregating, it's a two-tier architecture that segregates the presentation layer from the box that had the application and the database layer. So there was more freedom for the end user developers to front-end developers to do changes, but then it was more on the character-based layouts. There weren't icons, there was no GUI or anything. It was mainly character-driven, I don't know if you know Fox Pro and things like that. So it's basically character-driven controls. And what came along with it was it enlarged the business audience that they had. So they went for sales, distribution, manufacturing, business processes. So they were more large-scale organizations that were adapting SAP. So the advantage being large organization taking up this product is more complex processes that the system could handle, and it could integrate the sales, finance, distribution, manufacturing, all of it. So there was more like an integrated solution that SAP was providing, which could be used by more organizations. Now, this meant that there was more larger data set, and the processes were getting also complex. That being on the disadvantage also, because whenever there were more customization that need to be done, there was again complexities that led to issues for upgrade, for deployment. There were a lot of testing that needed. You had to make sure that nothing breaks when you deploy things. And if it breaks, yeah, there's always the cost that goes along with it, for cost in terms of time and money to fix all these things. The scalability was also an issue because the earlier systems were based on mainframes, and that the mainframes, then it was more widely used. So the availability of mainframes weren't that easy. The user interface was very basic. It was character driven basically, so it wasn't user friendly. And the integration to newer technology, SAP being a niche product, they had their own proprietary integration technology, so they weren't ready to integrate with the outside world, and they had a lot of difficulty in doing that. We have all these challenges, and that's where SAP brings with the three-tier architecture: the presentation, application, and database layer being three separate entities. Uh, it's basically a client-server kind of architecture. The presentation layer is getting the input from the customers, the users. It's a client. It goes into one of the server applications. In the application layer, again, this is the client server to a database. So it's able to communicate with the three layers as a client server architecture and pull up data for the end user. So this meant there's a larger scalable factor, and SAP also improved the performance of the system to a scale that's possible then. They also brought out more business solutions, much more integrated. Yeah, and they had more modular approach. They had more solutions. So definitely they wanted modular approach for having the different components deployed. And for the first time, they brought in GUI elements. They had icons, they had forms, they had table views, things like that. The ECC is basically a rendition of R3, but with more features, more systems. We have EWM, we have TM, we had HR come in. So it's basically a, a it's basically a solution-based upgrade, but then it still had the same kind of issues. It had the business volume, the data volume kept on increasing, so managing data was much tougher. Yeah, we were using Oracle database. Yeah, this is the first time that we are moving out of the mainframe and opting for database that's outside mainframe. We were going for uh, MS SQL, we were going for Oracle's DB. So again, there was challenges for managing the RDBMS. And then, yeah, the process became more complex with more modules coming in and more business processes coming in. The integration kept becoming a challenge. The complexities for developing custom objects became uh, more. The issues for upgrade were again challenging. There were more unstable upgrades, there were costly upgrades. There were projects that kept on running for years for upgrade. I have worked on a project that ran for over 8 months just for the upgrade from R3 to ECC. It should have been much more simpler system because there were a lot of core modes. You could go inside the SAP standard code with the developer key and do all the changes. Now, this is a major challenge that SAP had, and what SAP wanted to do was segregate the roles for the business users. Yeah, was there a question over there? Prashanta and Chandni, can you hear me?
Yes, Tarun.
Yeah, okay. Rajveer, could you just check again? Yeah, yeah, log back in and check. So yeah, there were challenges for upgrading the system, and what SAP came out was to have a core system that cannot be uh, edited, or there was customization done directly on any standard SAP code. So what they do? They started having the idea for having a clean core approach, segregating all the customization as a separate entity to the standard SAP code. So there were only plan was to have interaction through APIs that were standard, that were released, that were stable, and we could communicate with the SAP standard system without breaking it for any upgrades. Now that came out in 2015 through S4 HANA. S4 HANA, it comes in different flavors, but the public edition cloud is the one that 100% relies on that particular clean core approach. Um, We still have the private flavor for the cloud, and we have the on-premise, where we still have the access to do all these kinds of customization. But the recommended approach is to keep the core clean, use the standard stable, released enhancement points and APIs. Yeah. In the meantime, in 2010, SAP came out with a huge release. The big thing that they had was uh, HANA database. HANA database. They had a new architecture to the database where they were having data stored in a column format to moving repetitive data. They had a lot of performance improvement done on it. And what meant was that the computation was much faster. It could handle larger volume of data, and it could also do embedded analytics. So analytics used to be a separate system from the core ECC. Now, what they could do is they could have analytics within the same database. They need not have a separate database. So that is what gets us to the clean core approach. So why do we need a clean core? There are business changes in a very competitive market. So there is business process and data that keeps on changing. The data keeps on increasing. The business process complexities increases. So we need to embrace the innovations. There are a lot of technology that's coming out, and SAP didn't want to stay behind in their own small ecospace. They wanted to come out of it. Ecosystem, sorry. They wanted to come out of it. And they wanted to accept newer technologies. They wanted to incorporate the technologies. They wanted to integrate it with their systems. And then we had the flexible infrastructure for rapid adjustability. Every business wants customization to the system. Like even if it's at the DB level or the environment or the apps, they wanted to enable customization for the customers. Now, with the S4 HANA ERP, the core of SAP is recommended to be maintained in upgrade stable state. So the core system for S4 HANA is supposed to be upgrade stable. Now, how is that done? One way is to avoid extensions or customizations altogether to the SAP core. This is not possible. The second way is to implement extensions without breaking the SAP core. So what is that? Clean extensions. Sorry, clean extensions. So you still have your baddie, you still have your extension points, all of that. So you use them in a manner that is acknowledged by the SAP's best practices. You use only the ones that's released for cloud, that's cloud ready, and you renovate your existing codes that is in your older enhancement frameworks, the older techniques, and bring it to you either remove it and implement the newer ones. SAP keeps on releasing newer APIs, so you can access those, or you create new enhancements that's based on cloud-ready approaches. Now, for that, uh, we are decoupling. So this is basically decoupling the customization from the core of SAP. There are two approaches for it. There's the on-stack extensibility approach for it, and there's a side-by-side extensibility. On-stack means we are still working on the ABAP stack that is there for the S4 HANA. For the side-by-side, it's a separate system on which we will make all the customization. Now, on stack has again two levels of or two tiers of extensibility. That's the in-app extensibility, the front end being UI, the UI front end being Fairy and all. You can have field level changes being done by the business users themselves. You can even have pushing it to the maximum. You can have some baddies that like certified business users or super users. They can go and make the changes, which will reflect in the backend through stable APIs, local APIs. Then there is the developer extensibility. The developer extensibility is handled by the ABAP developers on the S/4HANA system. Again, we use there is the three-tier architecture for it, where they use only local stable released APIs, or they will be using wrappers for the ones that's not released by SAP. So it's basically decoupling. So this is a tighter coupling, but then it's still decoupling of the customization or extensions from the core. And yeah, over here, yeah, the use of ABAP Cloud is what is recommended. Now, going on to side-by-side extensibility, it is S/4HANA customization that's external to the ABAP stack, and it uses BTP. And using BTP, the framework that we use for developers is Cloud Application Programming Model, and we use the features that's there on the cloud for it. We use the BTP services, we use the integration suite, we use API Hub. There's lot of help that SAP provides through BTP to make a loosely coupled application or service that can cater to S4 without breaking the code. Like, this is kind of the best approach that's there. But then, yeah, there are some drawbacks. Like, if you have like very closely integrated data or closely coupled data with the S4 stack, then you can't use this. But in most of the cases, the enhancements would be, we will have enhancements. We will have services that run independent of S4. We have services that will be running on the other SaaS solutions that SAP is providing. So for all of that, we will be using the side-by-side extensibility. We'll be using the CAP approach for it. Yeah, this is a chart that shows what we discussed. So everything in blue over here is the ERP releases that SAP had along with the years that's there. And you can see over here, SAP has adopted a clean core approach in 2015 with the S/4HANA on-premise and cloud releases, private as well as public. Everything in the pink are related to DB. So in 92, SAP first went for the DB Oracle MS SQL approach, moving away from mainframe. And in 2010, it's actually 2010, SAP releases SAP HANA, keeping in mind that they wanted data-driven analytics to be a major decision maker for businesses. It started providing faster data and managing data more efficiently. Just the chart shows the level of complexities in the business process and the volume of data. So this keeps increasing. SAP comes with newer products to counter those challenges. In green, we'll see all the cloud-related innovations, the environment upgrades, the processes that SAP started to incorporate so that they can stay ahead of the game. So we had the cloud platform released as such in 2012. That's on the NetWeaver. There's a cloud edition for NetWeaver. So SAP CP was released in 2011. Then they came out with the Cloud Foundry because this was more a rigid system. It could only handle Java, the HANA as a database, and very restricted in that manner. So they adapted Cloud Foundry to their tune. They had a flavor, SAP had a flavor for it. They added their own concepts. Excuse me. So SAP brought in CDS. Yeah, most of you would be knowing what CDS is, core data services. So they brought in that library that runs basically on top of the existing major coding runtimes like uh, Springboard or Express for uh, JavaScript and things like that. And then SAP became selfish. They released their own environment that catered only to, they had their own data centers that catered to uh, certain newer solutions. They started releasing only the new things on Neo uh, because it was a very niche kind of thing, and like AWS and Google were, they were a large player. SAP couldn't compete with them, and SAP Neo is sunsetting in 2028 for it. And in 2020, SAP comes up with BTP. BTP is basically the Cloud Foundry plus the cloud platform plus Neo plus many new business processes as a service. They brought in everything under a single umbrella for all the technologies that SAP had, and SAP were ready to provide as a cloud service. And yeah, in the last 2 years, we have SAP AI Core. So this basically focuses on the innovation and the business automation parts of it. And just keep in mind, this is what SAP's driving factors are. So they want everything to move to cloud. They want innovations and automations to happen to the business, but again, it should be on the cloud. They want a clean core so that they can keep on releasing their updates happening every twice a year rather than like certain projects would have upgrades done like 3 years, 4 years, uh, that kind of gap. So they wanted a clean core for that. And they had data-driven approaches with analytics for business decisions and faster data. This you can go through. It's basically covering whatever we discussed earlier. Uh, so it has all the smaller, finer information if you want to read through. And so, are there any questions? Do you have any doubts till now? If you can unmute and ask, go ahead. Or you can ask the questions on the chat. Can functional person move to BTP? If you are a functional person, you are there, and you're using S4 HANA, say, I'm imagining you use S4 HANA. There is not much of a change for you to uh, uh, be part of BTP because it's only the technology in the backend that changes. There is no change in the front end or the business processes that you see. What happens is SAP is refining the business process, it's simplifying things, it's uh, having things in the Fury UI. So there are lots of Fury apps that's coming out. So for a functional person, with BTP, what you would have to focus is on getting knowledgeable on the newer uh, Fury apps that's been released for the traditional transactions on SAP GUI. If you want to move into BTP still then, there are 3 channels for it. One through being a BTP admin. It's usually the basis role. People who would be managing the BTP environments. And then there's the BTP security. You still need to create roles, authorization, the governance, management, all of that. That's the second part. The third is being a developer, upskilling yourself from being an ABAPer, getting into Node.js, bit of Node.js, bit of Java, being proficient in CDS, and then bringing out services and applications on CAP. So these are the three major approaches. There is one. There are two more. One is for the integration suite or the integration related work. So for a PIPO consultant, they can come into the BTP world with the new innovations that SAP has. SAP has mesh events. They have the integration suite. There is a lot of new functionality that's coming across with that. So the integration people can come to BTP on that. And then there is the BW people. The BW people can work on the data spheres, the analytical tools that's there. So what I said is mostly technical because BTP is more of a technical change. There is no functional change. The business process remains the same. We are just going to enhance business processes using the technology. There's a lot of automation that we can deploy with BTP. There's a lot of AI capabilities that we can have with BTP. With Gen AI, we can have process that's created in a much quicker manner. With Signavio, we can have processes easily. The analysis of the existing business processes can be done much faster, and we can have deployment of changes in a much quicker manner. The other question, BTP to S4 is possible with any middleware. To S4 is possible with any middleware? No. So for BTP and S4 HANA, so S4 HANA is basically a ERP SaaS solution that's there with BTP. So it's closely integrated, and it uses CPI or integration suite. PIPO is still referring to the older system. When you come to BTP, it is going to be CPI integration suite. So
Okay.
yeah,
There is only an integration that we have to recommend. Anything that we are developing, any custom solution outside of S4, if there is anything that resides in BTP, the only integration channel is CPI to S4. Is that correct?
Yeah. So to S4, only through CPI. Yeah.
Okay. How
you
about
want
BTP?
you want
There is an integration BTP to Salesforce or BTP to any subscription cloud platform.
you have something called destinations. You can have the system. So you call it tenants. So you can have your BTP system be a tenant to the SaaS solution. So say SuccessFactor, whatever. You can have it as a tenant connection. And you can have it integrated through the APIs that's available through the API Hub. Any kind of customization that you want, you can develop through Capem. You use the API Hub for all those changes.
Okay, even with integration to S4, is only API is a source of integration method, or you have any other methods like an IDOC or XML or anything for BTP?
Yeah, there's still IDOC. The functionality for IDOC and all still there. It's just that the SAP's approach would be so IDOC is again communication of data that goes from your system.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's something to get clarified, just
Yeah, you mean to
I
say
think
like
something
it's flexible, either you can use an IDOC as a method of communication or API as a method of communication. and it will not restrict you to use only an API as, service.
No, yes, but the need for API and IDOC are two different things. API is much more restricted on the data level. IDOC
Mhm.
can be a large data set that gets pushed across. So the need for the technology is different. It depends on the business scenario that you want to use. Both are available on BTP platform.
Mhm.
It's how you want to use the data. If you have bulk data moving across, IDOCs would be the best way.
Okay, and also is BTP is like capable of writing the code in Java or writing a code in ABAP language. So
Yeah,
is both are possible, right?
yeah. You can do ABAP development with the ABAP environment on BTP, and you can do Java development with the CAPM framework on BTP.
Okay. One last question. So whatever the custom solution that you developed in BTP, if you wanted to enable the front end in S4 in Fiori, the Fiori tile can be developed and that can have an integration seamless where you can call that custom function directly from S4 and the backend it will go and read the data and then update it. Is that possible?
Yeah, you can do. The in-app extensibility lets you do changes on your Fury app.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you can have field changes. You can even go to an extent of CDS view changes on your Fury app. Um, but that's yeah. You can do that. It's possible.
Okay. And this BTP is completely a subscription-based model, right? So it's not that something you can so
Hmm.
get it for a free of cost, right? So based on the how much
No, no,
space that you are purchasing it,
correct.
so you'll have to pay as a subscription as a service, correct?
Yeah, yeah. BTP has different tiers of commercial model
Mm-hmm.
where you can, if you are a new business and you want to get into SAP, you can go for the grow with BTP approach. Only take
Mm-hmm.
the smaller services that's needed and pay for that. Or if you are a large enterprise, go with RISE to SAP BTP. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
get a bulk of the service. You have fixed service, fixed costs for the services. You can bring down the prices like that. But then, yeah, there are different models to do it. Our approach over here for the training would be going to the free tier. Whatever SAP provides for free, we will be using that
Okay.
in our learning. Yeah.
Yeah. One very last question. So I worked in several S4 implementations, so on-premise, private cloud, and where we did all our customization within S4, whatever the level of customization that we did, out of the standard. So we did it within S4. Okay. However, and what scenarios,
Mm.
that situation that you as a functional consultant or a architect recommend BTP? Okay, for these particular integrations, I would recommend strongly to go for customization within BTP because keep the S4 as clean as as much as clean so that
Yeah.
you're not dealing any with customization. So what is a scenario like, selling business case that you have that you can convince to the client?
So yeah. So BTP doesn't just cater to S4 HANA Cloud. It also caters to the other solutions that they have, like Concur, they have SuccessFactor, they have
Mhm.
Ariba. So
Ariba.
there are
Mhm.
companies that, yeah, the companies that
Mhm.
use those services as such without using the S4. So for them, this is the only way that they can do enhancements to their business process, BTP, CAPM. You can do CAPM, you can do the low code, no code path also. For S4, the reason why you want to do BTP is purely from an architect's point of view. If you look at it, it would be you want only minor data coming out from S4. You don't want you don't want reports that have data that is closely knit. Like you don't want header data and the item level data
Mhm.
always being picked from your DB and used in BTP and have the application run
Mhm.
in asynchronous manner causing issues. You don't want that to happen. So in that case, you always use the on-stack development extensibility. When you want only minor data to come out, then you can always use S4, the BTP one.
Okay. So if, for example, for me, I have some integrations, okay, from S4 to Salesforce, example, okay, and I want some custom solution to be part of an integration between SAP to S4. When Salesforce create an order.
Can we park this question? We'll just go through the remaining of the course material for today, and we can take up this question in the end.
Sure.
There are still things that I need to cover. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. What was it?
My name is Banu.
Banu. Okay, yeah, Banu. So yeah, I'll catch up with you on that. Okay. Getting on to BTP. So yeah, what we saw earlier. The motivations to get onto BTP, accelerated move to cloud. SAP wants everyone to move to cloud, so they're providing all the services on cloud. Optimizing and automating business processes. All the automation AI capabilities are on the BTP platform. Driving decisions based on data. The HANA system provides quicker data analysis computation, and you can have analytics done on embedded systems over there, and keeping the code clean for any future updates. Just give me a second. Okay, so what is BTP? BTP, it's a integrated platform as a service that leverages the modern technologies. There are many technologies that's available that enables and transforms the business processes across the industry spectrum that SAP supports, and it drives the business value for businesses and a better customer experience. That being said, what does that mean? So you can have applications created with a very personalized experience. The UI could be very personalized for the enterprise that you want in a very fast manner. The deployment cycles would be much faster, and all of this runs on a very secure and stable system. Okay. Now, how do we do that? We do that with the 5 pillars of BTP, focusing on the 5 kinds of technologies that's there. The app development for developing apps for low code, no code, and pro developers. The automation, optimizing your recurring tasks, the redundant work that you have, you can do automations. Integration, simplified connectivity, data and analytics. You have the data governance also over there, and AI technology is infused throughout the system. There are some services that's given out for free, some that are that's a subscription. Then there's the Gen AI side of it. So on top of BTP, we still have the traditional lines of businesses, HCM, logistics, the CX. But we also have the software as service. We have the Concur, we have SuccessFactor, Ariba, Fieldglass, Signavio. There are a lot more services that SAP provides. There's 50 services that SAP as such provides. There's 750 plus partner services, so software as a service that's being provided. And with BTP, we can extend and we can integrate all these SaaS solutions using the app development tools and the integration suite. Okay. Going on to the technical side of it. So all the software as a service can be worked upon with the 5 pillars: the app dev, automation, integration, data analytics, and AI. So the picture should speak for itself. You can have low code, no code experience, pro code experiences. You can have UIs that's tuned to the business. You can have for that you can have the services that SAP provides is the business application studio, the build build code, the build apps. This is the low code, no code approach. Build code is basically a fusion between both of this, and you have the front end. You can have the websites created with the build work zone. Sorry, I'm just catching that. Okay, on the automation side of things, we still have the traditional workflows, but we have workflow management on a different level. We have the process automations, we have analytics, we have AI tools integrated for automation, and all of this can be captured with the business applications, business process automation. There's the intelligent situation automation for the tasks. For the integration side of things, for all the PO folks to getting into CPI, there's a varied host of functionalities or features that BTP provides through the integration suite, the master data integration, the connectivity services, the mesh, even meshes. For the BW folks and the data analysts, the analytic planners, the data management, DB operations, the warehousing and data lakes. SAP has come out with their own services for the HANA database, but for cloud, the data lakes, data sphere, analytic cloud for the analytics, master data governance, and AI, AI core and the Gen AI are the new talk. So all of these services can be explored through, through Discovery Center, SAP. Yeah. I think in this case, I need to show you just a second. So this is the Discovery Center, where you can explore what SAP provides as services. SAP's AI features, the newer catalog for AI services. You can see the catalog for the business services that SAP provides. You can even see the architectural recommendations that SAP is providing based on the user stories, the customers, whatever they have implemented. You can explore all of that over here. This is a big library for anyone, a salesperson, to go and find stories and sell it to your business. At the same time, it's a repository for all the developers out there to go and see what is the services that's provided. Let's go to the app dev and automation. Yeah, ABAP environment is there. You can have your ABAP developments. You can have your CAPM developments. You can have the data logging over there. What else? Responsibility manager, the drag and drop feature to do UI development. It's basically you can do front end and back end with this. The build code is basically a fusion of the build apps and business application studio. So you can explore all of that here in Discovery Center services. You can even go for the AI features, whatever is here, see what is available. You can learn about what each of this is. This takes a lot of time to know what all of this means. So if you want to implement something, go and learn this. We will explore few of the services during our course. Okay. Yeah. So that is the Discovery Center. And this is a map of where BTP hosts are done. So regions is important for legal purposes, where you want your systems or the data centers to be hosted. In countries like Europe, you always want your data to be always clustered within Europe. You don't want your data to be moving out, say to India or the Brazil. You don't want data to move out. So regions is a very important part of having or to determine where you want your system to be based out of. It's also important for latency purposes to make sure that the hits that you have from the user gets a quicker response. So these are the determining factors to have where your BTP should be located from. BTP data center should be located. Yeah. So yeah, the business services are the Lego blocks of BTP. So you mix and match, and you make solutions out of it. You can have really wonderful solutions out of BTP. This is basically how you use BTP. You mix and match. You do your development on BaaS. You have the deployment done to CI/CD. You have it deployed on the Cloud Foundry. Run it on Cloud Foundry. You have service exposed to different front ends that you want. You can have the front end even developed in BaaS. You can have data logged out of SAP Cloud. There is the authorization service that you use for it's pretty secure. The latest updates would be happening through SAP, which very little that we need to manage. We need to manage the roles and all, but the secure part of it is managed by SAP. So we can pull in the SAP authorization service, data logging for analysis for any bugs that would have happened or any breakdowns in the process that would have happened. So we can access all of that, and auto scaling depending on the size of enterprise. If you want to push up vertically your application, you can have auto scaling also done. Okay. Yeah, we had this conversation in one of the previous questions. So the commercial model for BTP. So pay as you go is for the new businesses who want to test the waters of BTP. They can sign up to BTP. They can subscribe to the services, just the services that they need, and pay for what they consume. The quota of CPU that they use, the quota of a database that they use, the particular service that they use. So they can just do the bare minimum with pay as you go. BTP enterprise agreement is for the large scale enterprises. So they have when a corporation purchases a service or product from SAP, they have agreements that give them credits. So SAP, the client can go and purchase the BTP services with the credits that they have got up over time. And subscription model is basically going in for fixed costs for subscription for a set period of time. This is basically when you know what you want to use for how many users. So in that case, that's how it's done. So all of this is basically managed by your admin or global account manager. So these are all way above a developer's head. Even I need not go into them. I need to go only to my sub account and do my development and push my code to the admins for them to deploy the things. Now, For our training, we will be using the free tier services. We'll be creating an account for it. It's absolutely free. And you just need an email and a phone number to get yourself into BTP system. Yeah. So I have a document with me which I will share after the course, or sorry, after today. I'll send across to the LKM team, have them share this. So you can set up your own BTP trial account. Let me know if it's visible. So I have documented how to create the, okay, the way it looks. Okay. Okay, so this is basically how you set up your BTP account. It's an entire walkthrough of how you do it. So if you have your you already have a SAP account, then you can just register for BTP right away from sap.com, or you can have a newly registered account with your you need to use your personal email account for this purpose. Then you will have an email sent to your email account. You need to activate it from there, get into your trial package, accept all the terms and conditions. You get a verification. You verify yourself with the verification code. You log into your account, and then you need to choose your US East VA AWS region. So you make sure that you choose this region, because our training services are only provided from Virginia, the East US, and it's only provided with the provider AWS. Okay, so once you go through that, you have your trial account being created by the system. BTP creates your trial account. Once you have your trial account ready, get into your trial account. So this would be the page that would become coming across. Once you click the icon, you are directed to your global account. In your global account, make sure that you have a trial sub account that's created, and that's the basic part of it. So go through this document and have your trial account created. I have my trial account already created, which we can review. Which we can review a bit in a moment. Yeah. So BTP fundamentals. Yeah. So the core of BTP administration happens from BTP cockpit. All your security, all your admins, they all manage the BTP cockpit. What you would be given is user uh, user ID through which you can access your particular sub account. So let me just explain a bit more detail. So global account is basically an account that's created for your company. So there would be admin for it. He would manage, he or she would be managing your global account. And within your global account, you have multiple directories, which is basically an organizational manner to hold your sub accounts. And what are sub accounts? Sub accounts are the smallest account that's possible within global account, and it's basically where you set up all your services, your environments, the users that's responsible or that's relevant to the sub account, um, and all your trust connections, your security, all of that. So that comes under a sub account. There can be several sub accounts depending on how you want to design. It's all depending on the admin. If you want a sub account to be, say, uh, you can have sub account for a dev system, a separate sub account for QA systems, separate for pre-prod. You can have one for the prod. You can have sub account based on the department that you work for. Say, logistics can have a sub account. So everyone who comes under logistics will have access to that particular sub account. So it's purely dependent on how your administrator wants to do it. But sub account is where you have all your services, the environments, your connections, and your access. Entitlements. Okay, so the global account is based out of, depending on the legalities, you would want the admin to create your global account for a given region. The map that we saw earlier. So they would know where to create it. And entitlements are the resources that BTP provides you under the plan that you subscribe to. So you'll have your basic free services. You will have certain services that's purchased out of your plan. So you can see list out all your entitlements over there. The same thing happens with your sub account. Sub accounts can also be region wise, and again, there can be services that's specific to a sub account that needs to be done. It can be handled by the admin for you. Yeah, so that would be the gist of it. Okay. Oh yeah, just a second. I didn't talk about this part itself. Okay, so water services. Yeah. So earlier we saw in the Discovery Center, there are lots of business services that's available. So the services are a tool or like the Lego blocks. It enables you to uh, do a particular action. It enables you to facilitate a particular business process. So services can include your IDE for, over here you have a business application studio as service for doing your development. You can have services, you need the HANA cloud as a service for your DB. You can have whatever other services you can subscribe to, the AA related part of it, you can all subscribe from here. The environment. So BTP has three major environments for you to develop. One is the Cloud Foundry. Cloud Foundry is the open source environment that SAP took upon themselves and created, SAP Cloud Foundry. It enables you to develop on your Java, Node.js, Python languages. You can have the UI5 mainframe, all of that developed on Cloud Foundry. So it's basically an enabler of libraries and languages. You can have your users added on to your sub account. Like, say, if I have my own development team, I'll have all my developers over here, and the reporting manager who looks into all of this work, he'll be added over here. So whenever we have our deployment ready, we have everything clubbed up and then push it to our admin. They will be doing deployment activities. Connectivity. Connectivity So this is a cloud block. You need to connect it to the outside world. You need to connect it to services. You need to connect it to your SaaS solutions. You need to connect it to your on-premise system. You need to connect it to S4 HANA Cloud, public or private. All of that can be done from connectivity services. You have your destinations, you have your trust instances, all of that over here. Okay. This is a much more beautiful representation of what I said. Um, I'm not good at drawing, so I took a image that I found. It looks much more refined. You can have the directory holding another directory, and that directory holding your sub account having its own entitlements and regions, and your global account having its own region and entitlements. So you have global entitlements, you allocate that to your sub accounts. Okay, what next? Yeah. Let me. So yeah, just before going there, I had this laser thingy only over here on the PPT. So I'll just go through an overview of the stuff. So this is what we see in the BTP cockpit. I'll have my user over here. Since I'm on a trial account, the days that's left on the trial account, you get 90 days on your trial account, but it's renewed every 30 days. So make sure that you log in every 30 days to your trial account to keep your account for 3 months. This gets extended by 30 days. The global account, as I said, this is the principal account for your company that holds all the directories, the directory and the sub accounts that comes under it. Global account, sub account, environment, multi-environment. We have Cloud Foundry. We have Kima. Kima is containerized form of having the applications deployed. It also uses all the earlier said languages for deployment. It's very versatile. The provider, you can have AWS, you can have GCP, you can have Alibaba, even SAP has their own provider, but sunsetting and the region, depending on when or where you want your servers to be based out of. You can have your accounts switched, you can have your account deleted, you can have a sub account created, you can manage all of that from here. This is basically the work of an admin. You are getting knowledge or a taste of what things are over here. The main things that we need to look over here. Boosters. Boosters is what we need to use for. It's a much more faster way to deploy the service onto your sub account. We will have Business Application Studio in our training, which now with the new concept of fusion development, they have brought it under the build code service. So we will deploy build code from the booster over here on the cockpit to our sub account. The system landscape basically shows us what other landscapes we are connected to, the other services that we are taking into if we're having any SaaS solutions that we are connected to, those things. Entitlements, as we discussed, a base set of resources that SAP provides, service assignments, you can find it in the service assignments. Security, you have all your security related stuff over here. And for the admins to analyze how well your system is utilized, the game is about managing the cost of your system. So you check the usage of your assets within your account. So We use only the necessary things. You can find it over here with the analytics usage. Going a step deeper. So I'm taking you into the sub account over here. So sub account shows the Cloud Foundry and Schema environment, shows the entitlements that's specific to your sub account. It shows, yeah, I'm having 81 entitlements, and I have 3 instances that I've subscribed to. It's basically the services that I've subscribed to. Yeah, so I would have a particular tenant ID. This is very unique ID. So if you want to communicate to me from a different SaaS solution in a different service altogether, you use my tenant ID to get subscription to that. That's why I hide it from all of you. I'm not sure it. I don't know. It shows my provider, my region, that I'm a multi-environment subscriber because I have cloud and Schema. It's a non-production system. I don't have any beta features. I don't have any newer features that's deployed. Cloud Foundry. So any application. So API is a concept that we'll be visiting. It's very important in the CAPM for extensibility purposes. So API endpoint would be basically how you reach out to me or my service, and I have to go through what would be my org name for it or the org ID for it. So all this information are necessary when you need to connect. So it'd be kind of same way org ID and tenant ID, but this is the information that is necessary for you to communicate with different APIs, or when you have your own application ready, you want someone to communicate with that application, you use this. Spaces. So this is where the nitty-gritty things happen. You have your application deployed in your space. How can I relate it to anything? I don't know. Let's keep it simple. So you have your application, you deploy your application, and you have the application instance. So if you want to keep it running, you have your instance set to active, let it run. If you don't want your application to be running and no one to access it, you can have it disabled. Yeah. The main thing, services. So service, as I said, the building blocks, and you can go to your service marketplace, and in our case, we'll be going through the free tier items, and you can, when you're on your productive system, you can go in and purchase it. Not you, but your admin. The instances and subscription are basically your services, but instances are your GUI elements, and subscriptions are basically your SaaS services kind of thing. So instances include your business application studio, build cloud. Subscription would be any of your SaaS related things. So Cloud Foundry is my environment over here. And space, as I told, is the smallest block where you have your application and its relevant data stored. The space quota would most probably be the amount of resources that you allocate. The org members would be who you want as users or who you want as your fellow developers to be in the same environment. HTML5 is where you have your UI apps. Connectivity is where you have your destination services, the connectivity services, your connections to your on-prem or your cloud S4 system. Under security, you have the users. who you want in the sub account. You have the role collectors. So you have roles and you have role collectors. You basically have your roles created for the different apps or different services. You have them collected under like it's grouping, and then you allocate them to your users. You have your trust connections over here, and you have your entitlements. So basically any resources that SAP is providing. And again, if you want to be on the analytical side of things, see how your performance, your sub account performs, you can go to the usage analytics. Let's take you there. Keep me live. Yeah. So as of now, I'm going into my BTP cockpit. Taking a bit of time. I'm going into my trial account. So I went through the first document, the document I'll be sharing with you, and I had my account created. And this is what we discussed earlier. I have all these features over here. I can navigate over here to see my trial account. If I had directories, it would be showing up over here. Boosters. This is what we would be doing for our IDE. So our IDE, the development environment that we'll be using is VS Code for our local developments, and we'll be using Business Application Studio through build code. So we'll be installing this or subscribing to the build code. There are other services that SAP provides. This is an easier way to do your installation rather than going and creating every smaller parts of it. It's admin work. But then here, being on the learning system, you should be capable of doing it. You should know it and you should do it. When you get into system and when you do it, you learn it. So here I have my instances, the things that I've subscribed to. I have my HANA Cloud, I have my build code, and under build code I have my Business Application Studio. I have instances of application that I created with the necessary credential binding, things like that. I've turned it off for now. And the environment is Cloud Foundry. I can purchase or not purchase or subscribe to the services from here, from my sub account. So the other one that we discussed was from the global side. You need to select the user or the sub account that you want to create. But here again, under the sub account, you can again go and subscribe to all the services, whatever you require for your development. We discuss spaces, destination. I think there is some destination. Oh yeah. This is one of the services that I have deployed, and its authentication related to destination has been updated over here. The user, so I have my own DIP. I have all the roles designated in my role collector. I have assigned all the necessary roles for my development related work. So when we go through our training, we'll make sure that we have the necessary roles. Yeah, so this the roles. You need not go in detail in all of that. It's just for FYI. entitlements, the resources that SAP provides by default for you. So it shows the quota that is available for you to use because you're in a trial account. You have very minor or smaller smaller units, and it's shared units, shared resources, cloud. Yeah. So yeah, the UI over here is a bit off. So these are all the entities that's available for me. If it's available to me. If I want, I need to add them to my subscription instance. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Okay, so what do we have next? Oh yeah, the terminologies. So whatever we discussed, I have put them out over here. Uh, these are from the SAP help site, so it's quite brief. But then you get the basic picture of what each of these items are. You need not learn descriptions of them as such for interviews or so. You need to know what they are. You need not learn them as such. Build code. Yep, the booster installation. Let me go to the document. Let me. I think this looks good. Yeah. So once you have your BTP account, global account ready, your trial account, I would want you to, okay, since if you have a business application studio service, unsubscribe from it. If not, you can go directly with the step number 3. So you go to boosters and you search for the business, the build code, and from there you get a very good picture of how the build code works. So this is the architecture of it, how it communicates and things like that. You do all the checks that's needed, give okay for everything. There's not much for you to do over there because we are in a very new system. So there is nothing that you need to change as such. Make sure that everything is on a free or free account or trial account. That's the only thing that you need to make sure. Once you're done with those steps, you would have completed your booster run, and then you can launch your service from your sub account. Go into your sub account, go to instances. You will see your build code and the business application studio over there. Both of this leads you to the build code lobby. And I will get you guys from build code lobby to the business application studio. So let's just go there. So here I'm going to my global account. I'm going to my trial account. So under my trial account, I'll go to my instance and subscription. And here I'll open my build code. So there is this thing called Fusion Developer. The concept is to use your professional coding skills from Business Application Studio and use the productive, simplified, quick help kind of stuff from your build apps. So this is my SAP build code lobby. And from here, I can create my own application if I want. Like I can go ahead and create, build an app or build a automation process. If I subscribe to it, I can build a work zone website from here. If I go to build an app, I can do build apps. That's the low code, no code flavor. This is a pro code flavor. So if you click this, it will take you to a business project, but this is not what I want you to do. I just showed you what can be done. Don't do this. I'm saying don't do this for now. I'm just showing you what it is, and we will have a flavor for that in a later stage. Okay, so what I want you to do is once you have your build, once you're in your build lobby, go here, go to Dev Space Manager, and in your Dev Space Manager, you're exploring the SAP Application Studio. I've kept it over here just in case I get confused that if it's not Business Application Studio or not. Okay, fine. So yeah, dev space. We saw what space was. Space holds our application and the necessary metadata, all of that. And for Business Application Studio, we have a dev space. In trial account, you can have only 2 dev spaces and you can only run 1 dev space at a time. I have created 2 dev spaces over here. One is for the productive tool. So this is basically from the build lobby that I created. This has all the newer features in it. But then it's, as a developer, I don't know if it makes my life easy, but it's fun to see all the new things. But I have created another dev space that is a full stack cloud app, and just let it run. So this is how you reach your Business Application Studio. You go to your instance, build code, go to the buttons over here, go to Dev Space Manager. Once you're in your Dev Space Manager, save this link so you have it as a bookmark. So whenever I need to do any development, I just hit the bookmarked Dev Space Manager. So this takes some time to get you to the dev space. And once you're in it, I'll show you what the Business Application Studio looks like. Okay, yeah. It says build code. That's the Business Application Studio. So this is how the Business Application Studio looks. Get started. Yeah, it gets starts. You have in the first get start page itself, you can create your project from a template. So, so BTP is a very developer friendly tool because it does a lot of work for you. It creates, or there are a lot of templates, a lot of innovative things that you can use to simplify your life as a developer. You can clone from Git directly without doing all your mumbo shumbo CLI stuff. Okay, so you can create your templates. You can clone Git from here. You can import your files, check your local folders from here. This is the last created projects that I have. Over here, we have this very beautiful CLI, your terminal. I won't do that. So you can see your problem issues, the output. You can have your debug console over here. And over here on the left, you have a menu. I can access most of the stuff. Command palette is a very important thing when you have to find stuff in your business application studio. We'll explore that. You can change how the layout is, all those things. You have your terminal. We already have the terminal running on the screen, so why create new? So the icons that we have over here, we have the Explore. It basically takes you to the recent project or workspace that you were in. You can navigate through your workspace. You can search for items over here. You can go to your Git repository from here. You can run your code and debug, see all the variables. Go from here. You can add your extensions from this icon. Your CI/CD runs from this icon. The guided sender, how basically lets you know how to do things. Joule, the Gen AI thing, it only lets me do code search and basically creates the Fiori Elements app from giving a prompt. The Cloud Foundry related stuff and a lot more on the settings. So this is an overview of your BaaS system. We will work on this, and at the same time, we will also do local developments. It's recommended that you do local developments on your VS Code. We will go through that in the next session when we get into the basics of Node.js. So this is the overview. And that's what I have for today. Are there any questions? Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
So, yeah, did you have any questions regarding what we went through for BTP, an overview, and overview on a walkthrough on how this system looks like?
So Tarun, we are going to provide the document, so that we can go step by step to install, to create the account.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I will send it to the LKM team, so they can share the document from there. I think that's the way that's been communicated to me to share the documents. So yeah, but let's do this one. This is not a major thing. Such. My computer. Recent documents. Setting the trial account. And so I shared the setting up BTP trial account document. So you can start with that. And once you're done with it, if you feel confident to do that, it's pretty simple. But if you need help on a later stage, just let me know. Sorry. Okay, something happened to my system. Okay. Is my screen visible? Yeah, I think so. Okay, sorry. Okay, so these are the two documents for creating your BTP account and your build code service through Booster. You can go through them. If you get stuck somewhere, it's fine. We can get back in the next session and resolve that. Are there any other questions from any of you guys? Okay, so one thing that I was thinking about was the projects that needs to be implemented as part of the CAP service or CAP deployable project. So there is we'll have one for the extension purpose with the S4 system. We'll use a sandbox system from SAP for getting the API, and one we'll have an independent app created, just a standalone app with Capcom framework. We will also explore the build code for the build apps, the low code, no code situation. It's pretty fun. You can have mobile apps created for even the silliest of things. I think 2 decades back, we saw 8-year-old kid create an app using SAP Build for his thing, his football team or something like that. So yeah, it's very user friendly. It's easy to do, drag and drop kind of thing. And we will also go for business process automation. We'll try to simplify a process that's there and use a bit of. I'm looking at getting AI API included. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think that would be pretty interesting to work on. So this is what I have in my mind for project. Yeah. So that's all that I have from my end for today. If there's any questions, reach out to the Shastra Geek team. They will forward the questions to me if there is anything, or we can connect on it later. Are there any questions?
So in the next session, so we'll learn about the Node.js, or how is that?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What was it?
No, in the coming session, so we will learn the Node.js part, or how is that?
Yeah, so I want so there are few people who are who don't know Node.js, so it's better to start from a very basic level. We will go for the basics of Node.js. We'll go for the basics of the API, OData, all those things. So let's cover the basics and develop on it. It's also good to have a refresher for the people who are seasoned. So, okay, I think we are good. I'll share the slides with the team, and see you next week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time, and enjoy your morning. Bye.